Greetings, Algo artisans. Could Bitcoin double from its current price in just 18 days? Anthony Pompliano thinks it could, and he has evidence to back it up. We're also going to take a look at what's happening this week at crypto, at gold, and a few other items, and we're going to get into it right now. Okay, let's start with Bitcoin. We had some targets met from my prior shows here, my prior predictions, where we did look at this market expansion from, let me see here, 26th of February all the way up to the 28th. So over 2 days, price made this move that I have marked by a yellow line. I did a Fibonacci extension on that, and my target, based on that, my upside target was at 72,000. Now, at the time of this move, I believe I made that prediction right around the 2nd of March when Bitcoin was at 62,000, and now it is at 73. And if you think about that, 62 to 72 is a healthy, about, I think that's an 18% move right there that was predicted right here on this channel. Now, Anthony Pompliano seems to think that price could double from here. Let's hear what he has to say over on CNBC.
If we go back and we look at past record high breaks, or if we eclipse the old all-time high, 3 of the 4 times, Bitcoin doubled in 18 days or less.
Pretty exciting stuff from Anthony. Pretty exciting stuff. So we really have to take into account what he's saying. Now, I'm not saying the price is going to double, and neither is he. But what Anthony is saying here in this report is that after the halving, it has done that twice within 18 days. If that is a very short time for Bitcoin to double, right? Even 3 months would be a short time for Bitcoin to double. But as he said, it has more than doubled in the last few months. I mean, that really isn't too far out of reality. $140,000 Bitcoin within a month is completely possible. That is for sure. So let's take a look at what that might look like. So $140,000 Bitcoin within a 3-week period. Let's be generous here and say 3-week. What he says is after breaking the all-time high, it's a 3-week period. Now, I think the most honest all-time high break happened really today. This move above all-time high with this strong price action above it, that to me, these other were more tests of all-time high. These other moves up that I can point to here, and even here. Sure, technically they broke the all-time high, but to me, this today is really the day. Okay, so that being said, what is it 3 weeks out from today, right? Let's just say the end of the month to keep it really simple. Because Bitcoin, it runs on the weekends, so we can count those days. So let's take a look at Bitcoin's trajectory, what that might look like if price were to continue up. And nothing goes up in a straight line, but Bitcoin comes as close as it can historically, and I imagine it would be in fits and starts as it always is. Some strong moves up, maybe a bit of a consolidation, and then some strong moves up yet again. Anything like this. And that is quite a chart to think about. Going all the way back to last year where price was troughed out, and then you have this big move up to 140,000. Extremely possible, especially with that conversation about, we talked about last week where a lot of the institutional players are, from what we're being told by other institutional players, what I'm personally being told by somebody who does the deals for institutions, that they are buying and buying and buying, and the price does not matter. They're not waiting for pullbacks. It's just a continuous purchase of Bitcoin and adding to the book. Very exciting stuff. Let's move over to the weekly calendar here over at forexfactory.com. Tomorrow's a big day, and I think it is possible that we might see a cool CPI. And I think that for a number of reasons. I think mostly for political reasons. I do believe CPI, look, numbers get revised all the time, right? I've seen it 10 times in the last few months where, these official numbers come out and they look good for the markets, and then they get revised a month later and nobody hears about it, and it doesn't really affect the markets, right? So a lot of what's coming out, I'm not saying they're lying, but I think when you have numbers that come out and get revised a month later on a regular basis, they must just not be calculating very well. These professionals whose job it is to give us what's happening in the economy seem to be making very large mistakes on a regular basis, or they're putting numbers out before they have the whole data. I mean, I'm really interested to know why we get so many revisions if they're not lying, if they're not lying. Okay, so we got the core CPI coming out tomorrow, and I think it might come out cool because a cool CPI going down, inflation heading down, what that would tell us would be that, okay, there might be some cuts coming, right? The hiking the rates has done their job, inflation has cooled off, and then we might see see some cuts coming. And if cuts come and the interest rate money gets cheaper, and if money gets cheaper, a lot more money goes into markets and markets go up. And when you see this happen, a lot of people anticipate the money getting cheaper, and therefore they want to get in now before the markets go up. And then of course the markets go up, right? So this is something we have. Okay, so that happens at 8:30 a.m. EST. And then again at 1 p.m. EST, we have the bond auction, which, we'll see. I don't know that that'll have a very strong effect, but it could. The next day on Wednesday, we have a 30-year bond auction. And unless there are major surprises, I don't expect it to be a very heavy impact event. It's partway through the day. I mean, it'll affect things, but it is a red heavy impact event. However, I don't think it's going to be like the CPI. And the following day on Thursday, again at 8:30 EST, is going to be core PPI. And this is about as powerful as CPI. It's the kissing cousin to CPI. This is the producer price index instead of consumer price index. And this is inflation on the producer side. So inflation on the producer side is going to be upstream from inflation on the consumer side. And yet the report comes after, so it's almost predictable. There is often a correlation between the two, right? So we might be able to actually take advantage of that correlation. We also have retail sales and employment claims. A lot of data on Thursday coming out. A lot of reasons for that market to move. And these items could all, I would have to bet, and I don't really trade these events, but I would bet that it would push price up. Whatever comes out on these days, I think will push price up. And then there's more on Friday. We got the state manufacturing index, consumer sentiment, all of that in the morning. Again, the biggest event here, I believe, is going to be at 8:30 EST. So right at the beginning of the trading day, which is great. It puts volatility into the market. Let's take a look at our Solana trade right now, and then we'll take a look at Kaspa. Almost got stopped out of the Solana trade here as Bitcoin grabbed some liquidity before it ran up. And so you can see this wick down here where price came down and almost stopped out. And again, this is on the daily chart. These are actually 18-hour candles. And so with that being the case, we may well see Solana head up to targets as long as Bitcoin is strong. We're going to take a brief look at Bitcoin dominance before we take a look at any other charts. We may only have time to look at Bitcoin dominance, but I do want to take a look at Kaspa as well. So let's move on here. Just so you understand, target for me is at 171.42. I entered this trade where a lot of people at Algo Factory got to see me enter it as I entered it. And if they entered a similar trade based on their own research, they are also in profit, which is something that happens quite often over at algofactory.tech. Okay, so now we're looking at Bitcoin dominance on the daily, and it is pretty solid actually. It's staying within a range, even with the powerful price movement, even with the break of the all-time high. Bitcoin dominance is staying within this pretty well-established range right here. And until it breaks out of that range, I wouldn't be too concerned about alts taking a hit. Now, if dominance does spike up too hard, too fast, money can be pulled out of the altcoins. But I think the market right now is so hyper bullish that it should not be a problem. So this is our range right here based on Bitcoin dominance. And again, my formula, you can see it in the top hand corner here. It's a little, the top to the left hand corner, it's a little different. It's Bitcoin dominance divided by parentheses 100 minus BTC.D. Let's take a quick look at Kaspa before we go. So Kaspa is finding some support in some areas that I had marked out before. Actually, on this morning's live show, you would see that Kaspa did exactly what I had drawn that it would do. It is not the easiest one to trade. I think it's more of a buy and hold for me. I do have some Kaspa, full disclosure, and if Kaspa comes down a fair amount more, I might get some more. However, Kaspa's hot, and I think it may simply continue up. It has now touched the 618 and 786 retracements from this large move up, and the last time it made such a large move up, what it did was go down and grab the 618 and almost the 786. And in fact, if you took a pure impulse, pretty much grab that 786. So if that's the case, and if it follows that same price action pattern, it does look like it may simply continue from up here. Let me take a quick look at the algo. Okay, yeah, it certainly is bullish on the daily. On the weekly, it does look like it's still cooling off a bit, but it might be bullish enough to maintain its position until the cool off period is over. And I know that the Kaspa community is hot. I've done videos on Kaspa. Please go watch them. It's a hot token. There was no ICO, no seed funding. It simply is a community coin that has become very, very popular and gone up times about 20 times since last year. So we're at the end of the show. If you want to learn how to build your own algo, if you want to learn how to trade, how to use these Fibonacci extension, these tools you see on the screen, what we do is we teach people how to trade. We teach them how to build their own methodology for pulling money out of the market, for extracting profits out of the market on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, whichever pace they prefer. And we're extremely affordable. We're over at algofactory.tech. That's algofactory.tech. Come on over, trade your job, upgrade your life. We'll see you on the next one.